Doctor Who is one of those shows that could last forever. Every few years they shake things up, they change the lead and supporting cast, and with an unlimited amount of stories they can produce all through the beautiful concept known as time travel. The possibilities are endless. I want to take a look at Doctor Who through an analytic lens, talk about every story, every companion, every place the TARDIS takes the Doctor, and so much more. And while a lot of people might feel confused as to why I'm not starting from the 2005 reboot starring Christopher Eccleston, I want to cover all of it. Now, obviously, 60 years of TV is a lot to get through, and with my dark abyss of an upload schedule, things have to change for this specific show. That's why for Classic Doctor Who, I'll be splitting these videos up by the serial, because Classic Who was aired in stories, with each block of episodes belonging to that specific serial. And once I've completed a full season, I'll re-upload them as one big video to be watched. This allows me to get videos out more often while still keeping true to the format of my channel I established with my previous videos. There's just one small problem with looking at Classic Who especially, that a lot of you might have questions about. As of right now, there are 97 missing episodes of the black and white era of Doctor Who, which is conveniently where we start. And although audio exists of these episodes, there is no visual, aside from maybe a few production stills, telesnaps, or if you're lucky, the odd 10-second clip. As a result, for these missing episodes, I'll be using the official BBC animations when talking about them. However, not all of the missing episodes have been animated yet, so for everything else, I'll be turning to Loose Cannon, a company that between 1998 and 2015 reconstructed all of the missing episodes of Doctor Who using still images and surviving footage, combined with some original footage and CGI to produce the most truest experience of these missing episodes. Without further ado, it's time to jump straight in with the very first serial, as this is an episodic analysis of Season 1 of Doctor Who. The show opens on a policeman patrolling near a junkyard where beyond the gates lies the TARDIS in an iconic shot as it hums lightly to itself. The first characters we're introduced to, however, are the companions. At Coal Hill School, science teacher Ian Chesterton and history teacher Barbara Wright discuss a particular student in their classes, Susan Foreman. Susan has a great knowledge of certain parts of history and science, however sometimes she seems like she has no clue about them at all, almost attempting to rewrite and predict the future discoveries of history and science. She even manages to predict Britain moving to a decimal monetary system, which didn't actually happen until 8 years after this episode aired. When asked about her personal life, she gets oddly hostile, supposedly living with her grandfather at the junkyard we saw at the start of the episode. Ian and Barbara tail Susan home, no I'm not kidding, and they find the TARDIS humming away just as it was last time we saw it, when suddenly an older man enters the junkyard, causing Ian and Barbara to hide as he greets Susan. Ian and Barbara confront the man, who attempts to convince them that there's no one in the police box, but yet they push past him to reveal the man introduces himself as simply the Doctor. The TARDIS is their ship that travels through space and time, and he hints that the Doctor and Susan are from another place, looking for their way home. The Doctor effectively kidnaps Ian and Barbara as a way to protect himself and Susan. He sets the TARDIS to take off, and Ian and Barbara fall unconscious, as the TARDIS materialises on an empty wasteland, being watched by what appears to be a caveman. We then see a tribe of cavemen attempting to make fire. Za, the son of the previous tribe leader, attempts to make fire, something his father did before him, but to no avail. If he can't make fire, he can't be tribe leader, which will mean losing his girlfriend, Her. Yeah, that's her generic name, Her. Back in the TARDIS, Ian is still hesitant about trusting the Doctor, saying that they don't even know his real name.
What concrete evidence would satisfy you,
Just open the doors, Dr. Foreman.
Eh? Doctor Who? What are you talking about?
He doesn't believe that they've travelled back in time, so the crew step out, taking in their surroundings. The Doctor is confused by the TARDIS still looks like a police box, as the chameleon circuit, which disguises the TARDIS wherever it travels accordingly, appears to be broken. The Doctor splits from his companions, getting knocked out and taken by the caveman. They hear the Doctor shout in pain, but they're too late.
Susan, don't panic.
I must find him!
Susan!
I must see!
Well, be careful then.
Oh damn, he gave up easily. The caveman takes the Doctor back to the tribe, where we find he is named Cal, who was the Firemaker as part of another tribe who all died out. Fortunately, he was saved by this tribe, where he now contests Za as leader of the tribe. Cal claims the Doctor can make fire, which he uses as a basis to become the tribe leader. The Doctor awakens claiming he can make fire for them until he realises that he's lost his matches, explaining why Cal thought he could make fire. Za mocks Cal for lying, and Cal begins to get hostile with the Doctor. Suddenly the crew launch an attack to save the Doctor, which fails, and the 4 of them are thrown into the Cave of Skulls, in the tribe's vain attempt to make what they call the orb reappear, which is actually the sun. One of the elder women in the tribe attempts to help save the crew once the rest of the tribe have fallen asleep, but she's caught by her, who tells Za. They escape out the back of the cave and into the forest, followed closely behind by Za and her. Za ends up getting badly hurt by a boar, however, prompting Ian to step up and attempt to help him, despite the fact that Za had been trying to kill them minutes earlier. The Doctor isn't a fan of this idea and even suggests to Susan that they should leave them behind.
You treat everybody and everything as something less important than yourself.
You're trying to say that everything you do is reasonable, and everything I do is inhuman. Well, I'm afraid your judgment's of fault, Miss Wright, not mine.
Ian introduces the concept of friendship to her, and that saving Za is an act of friendship to the tribe. They take Za back to the TARDIS to heal. Meanwhile, Cal finds the old woman in the cave and kills her for setting the TARDIS crew free. He tells the rest of the tribe it was Za, putting himself in charge. They head to the TARDIS and confront the Doctor and the crew. The Doctor proves Cal to be the Elder's murderer by showing his bloody knife to the tribe. Yeah, that's a really good one there, Cal. Which results in Za, newly recovered thanks to the TARDIS, being put back in charge again. Ian makes fire for the tribe as another act of friendship when Cal attacks. Za and Cal end up in a battle to the death, with Za ending as the victor, smashing Cal's head in with a rock. Jesus Christ. Za still won't set the crew free, however, and forces them to join with them, holding them in the Cave of Skulls until they're needed. Susan is the one to put a skull in a torch flame, which Ian uses to devise a plan to scare the tribe so they can escape. This works until one of the torches collapses, and the tribe chases the crew all the way back to the TARDIS. Thankfully, the crew manage to escape as the TARDIS dematerializes. The Doctor explains to Ian and Barbara that he has no control over where the TARDIS goes next, so he's unable to take them home. That's great. Wherever the TARDIS takes the crew next is completely random. Upon arriving at their new destination, Susan checks the radiation level of the planet, which registers at 0, until the crew set out, where the counter begins to move towards dangerous levels. And that's the first story of Doctor Who. It spanned 4 episodes, with episode 1 being the standout here. We learn about the Doctor, the TARDIS, we're introduced to the companions and everything. And the next 3 episodes are alright. I can see why they went for cavemen times first in a historic sense due to the vast amount of stereotypes and easy assumptions to make. It can result in a story that's easy to understand, if a bit boring at times. The long scenes spent with the tribe, with all of the leader drama, is a bit underwhelming when compared to the fascinating dynamic between the TARDIS crew. Seriously, the way these characters speak to each other is so modern for a show that's over half a century old. The Doctor, despite being the title character, is almost portrayed as the villain of this story. He's untrustworthy, aggressive, unpredictable, and is more intelligent and manipulative than his weak and old demeanour portrays. But that all plays into the companions being the characters that the viewer can relate with. They don't know the Doctor. He seems a bit odd and erratic, and to viewers back in 1963, it was the exact same case. The important thing to mention is that Doctor Who was originally conceived as an educational show for kids, and while it didn't take long for this idea to be abandoned, the first few seasons and most of Hartnell's run is based around this concept. We have one historical story, followed by a sci-fi story, and then back to historical and so on. That being said, for something that's supposed to be a kids show, it's a bit violent, don't you think? And what if Squidward did that to Mr. Krabs? Cal is our villain for the story, and I don't think he was ever intended to be anything special. It's a basic villain and basic story to introduce people to the concept of the show. After this, we'll see some familiar faces and more interesting concepts for villains in this season, so they had to start somewhere. It also brings up something which will be recurring throughout the show, and that's that the Doctor and his companions just can't help themselves meddling with time. The theme of the story is human nature. For example, while the crew are being hunted by the tribe, when one of them gets injured, Ian introduces the concept of friendship and kindness to them. The Doctor wants to stoop down to their level, treating them like idiots, stuck in a kill or be killed situation, except these human beings that he's kidnapped have introduced him to the concept of human nature, and that human beings are capable of doing great things, not because they're great, but because they're right. That doesn't mean everything is peachy though, as the battle of wits commences between the Doctor and Ian. These two will be at each other's necks for the entire time they're together, but they don't actually hate each other. We'll explore that more later on. All in all, it's fine. A lot of people online seem to believe that if the show had went straight from the first episode of the serial into the next serial and skipped the caveman stuff altogether, it would grab a lot more modern viewers' attention.